they killed those men. So incident happened in Al-Raji', yeah, and now we are, inshallah, the Bi'r Ma'una, the well of Ma'una. This is another incident, but this is more of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ were killed in this incident. 70 of them, 70, and they were all scholars. You know, scholars, Sahaba. They have the knowledge of Al-Quran, reciters of Quran, and even, you know, in the time of the Sahaba, if someone is a reciter of the Quran, he's also a scholar. But in our times, we find, you know, some people recite the Quran very good, but they're not scholar. Yes, Qari'ul Quran is someone who recites the Quran and also he understands the Quran. He's a scholar. They call Qari. But in our days, Qari can mean sometimes the reciter of the Quran. Not maybe he did not study the, you know, the Quran yet in depth. So here, this is the incident of Bi'r Ma'una. So a tribe, you know, from so this one, Abu Bara Amir bin Malik, is a person. So Abu Bara Amir bin Malik, his nickname was spear player. Spear. He plays with spears. He came to the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Medina, and he said that, you know, and the Prophet, you know, called him to Islam, called him to embrace Islam, but he did not refuse, or he did not accept Islam. No comment. He was showing that he appreciated what the Prophet was doing, and then he said to the Prophet, like, if you can send, you know, your companions, and we can take them to our people, you know, to the people of Najd. These are the, you know, Najd people are very rough, you know, rough people, people who care for camels. Those who, you know, they care for camels, or they look after camels. They're rough in nature, just like the camels. This is yeah. This is close to Medina, and so the Prophet replied, "No, I don't want to send anyone, you know, because I'm afraid that my companions will be killed." So the Prophet knew something, you know, because it's risky out there, especially in those times. So, but then he convinced the Prophet, look, you know, I will protect them. I will be their protector. You know, this person, Abu Bara Amir bin Malik, he said that I will protect, you know, your companions. So here, you know, Ibn Ishaq, one of the you know, scholars in Seerah, he said that, you know, in some narration, the men that the Prophet ﷺ sent to you know, propagate Islam is 40, but the best narration is, or the most authentic is 70. So 70 Sahaba. So 70 Sahaba. That's the correct, inshallah, narration we have. So here, Al-Mundhir bin Amr, this is radiallahu anhu. He's a Sahabi. He was from the Bani Sa'idah. His nickname was Freed to Die. Freed to Die. Huh? Yeah. So he was in charge of the 70 men, the group that Prophet ﷺ sent with those disbelievers, you know, to give da'wah. So see, these Sahabas radiallahu anhum, they were sent to different, you know, localities to give da'wah. Not just for war, not just for fights, but also to teach. Because, you know, you find people who want to learn. They just accepted Islam, so you need to send. So we see many cases in Seerah. The Prophet ﷺ sent Ma'ad ibn Jabal to the people of Yemen. He sent this Sahaba to that people to teach them. That's why we have, you know, different, you know, like for example, madhab, Hanafi, Shafi'i. It's because of, the Sahaba, they spread around the globe. They spread to different, areas. And that's why we have all this, some differences in our Islamic practices. But they're not major ones, not in Aqidah, but in the Masail of Fiqh, for example. So that's why this Sahaba, Al-Mundhir bin Amr, he was in charge of these 70 men. So they went to Najd. So this group, the 70 men, what they did was, during the day, in their journey, they were collecting, wood. They were collecting something, collecting wood, firewood for the people of Sufa. Who knows the Sufa? The people of Sufa, Ashabu Sufa. Who are they? They're people who, they're poor people. No, not robbed. They're good people, companions of the Prophet. Poor, but they dedicated their time to seek knowledge. They remained in the Masjid Nabawi. There's a section. They live there, basically. They sleep there. So these 70 men, 70 scholars, people of Quran, they gathered firewood to make some money for as a charity, or to use it for many useful things, cooking, maybe in warming, heater. So they collected these woods during the day, and then during the night they studied the Quran. This group, while in their journey. So at night they study the Quran, they read the Quran, they study the Quran, and during the day they work, get benefit. So when they arrive at this well, it's called Bi'r Ma'una. In Arabic, Bi'r means well. They arrive at the place where there's a well there. It's called Well Ma'una. It was between the Bani Amir and also Bani Sulaim. These two tribes, Bani Amir and Bani Sulaim. So they stayed there around that well, and then they informed the Prophet ﷺ, they sent a Sahaba, or also they sent a Sahaba to convey the message of Prophet ﷺ with a Sahabi. His name is Haram bin Milhan. Haram bin Milhan, a Sahabi. He was also one of those 70 men. So they told him to go to the enemy of Allah, Amir bin Tufail, At-Tufail. He was the enemy of Allah. He was a disbeliever. They want to give him da'wah, basically, to just pass on the message of the Prophet to him. Who's the messenger? Haram bin Milhan. Haram bin Milhan. Haram here, what does it mean? Huh? No, not that meaning. If it's a name of a person, it doesn't mean forbidden. What does it mean? Sacred, yes. Masjid al-Haram. Is it a haram masjid? No. It's not the meaning of the opposite of halal, no. Here meaning sacred, because hurmat, in Indonesia we call hurmat means respect, yeah? So that's from the same word, haram, yeah? And also means forbidden, because I think haram, why is forbidden, is also haram because no, because when you abide by the law, you're respecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you stay away from haram, what do you get? You respect the laws of Allah, yeah? Like you don't breach Australian law, what does it mean? You're respecting the laws of Australia, yeah? If you don't, they kick you out, huh?
So the actual translation of haram is
forbidden. Respect. Avoiding. When you avoid, disobedience, you mean respect that person. That's why there is a very close, a connection with haram, meaning forbidden, and respect. What you said? Sacred. Yeah, sacred. Yes. So here, this one, Haram bin Milhan. So when he came to the Amir bin Tufail, he immediately, ordered a man to kill him. He didn't even want to listen to what he has to say. He said, just kill him. So he killed. He hit him with a spear. Yes, and then blood gushing, blood coming out. And then, but during that time, this Sahabi, Haram bin Minhan, he said, by the Lord of the Kaaba, I have won. In Arabic, he said, Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. Fustu means I have won, I'm successful by the Lord of the Kaaba. Yes. And then he said also, Allahu Akbar. So in that, painful state, he said, Allahu Akbar, Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. That means he saw something. Because this before death, before death hits you, he saw something and he said, Allahu Akbar, Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. And then this enemy of Allah, what's his name again? Amir bin At-Tufail. Amir bin At-Tufail, he tried to gather other people to finish the companions of the Prophet, because he knew that they were camping near that well Ma'una. So he tried to convince other tribes, come, let's go and kill all of them. So he went to Banu Amir. Remember, the well of Ma'una was situated around Bani Amir, their land, and also Banu Sulaim, yes, these two tribes. So they went to Banu Amir, but Banu Amir refused to help them to fight the Muslims. Why? Because the Muslims is under the protection of who? Abu Bara bin Amir, the guy who came to the Prophet, the man who came to the Prophet. He said, send your companions, I will protect. So the companions are under his protection. And in Arab tradition, if someone is protecting someone, they respect that. They don't, if they breach and they cause harm to a protected person, that's a big thing. You can cause a fight between tribes. So here the Banu Amir said, no, we don't want to fight the Muslims because they are under the protection of Abu Amir, and he's one of us. Abu Bara bin Amir, and this Abu Bara is one of us. So he went to Banu Sulaim, the other tribe. So Banu Sulaim, yes, the people of Usayyah and Ri'l and Dakwan, these are the Banu Sulaim. They responded to his call. So they attacked the companions of the Prophet, and they killed. All martyred, all of them were killed. There's only one survivor, but this Sahabi, he was killed in the coming battle, the battle of the Ahzab, the Confederates. He was killed there. He passed there, I think because of wounds, maybe. So this Sahabi, Ka'b bin Zayd bin An-Najjar, he was not killed, on spot. He later died in the upcoming battle, the battle of Al-Khandaq, the trench. So here, and there's another companions of the Prophet, Amr bin Umayyah Ad-Damri and Al-Mundhir bin Uqba. These two, they were out. They were not with the group. They were out, actually looking after the animals, their animals. Maybe, feeding them or giving them mora. So they were far away from the group. So they were not killed. But they knew something strange happened because they saw the birds flying around, a flock of birds. So they said, oh, something, I think, something happened, something horrible. So they came and saw their friends were all killed. So what they did was so one of the two companions, one of them was captured. He got caught by the enemies. But the other one, Al-Mundhir, he was killed. So one was killed and another one captured. Amr bin Umayyah was captured, and Mundhir, he was killed. But then this Amir, Amir, he Amr bin Umayyah was captured. Amir set him free, but they set him free. Banu Amir set him free because he was, he was from the tribe of Mudar. He's got connection. This Sahabi who was captured, so they just released him, let him go, because for the reason of fulfilling the pledge of his mother. there's a pledge. So to fulfill that, to set. So Amr bin Umayyah, this Sahabi, he was set free. They let him go. So he returned to the Prophet ﷺ. He returned to the Prophet and he conveyed the painful news that all the Sahaba were all killed. So now the Prophet ﷺ was hit with this very sad news. So that's why we in Hadith the Prophet ﷺ made supplication, dua qunut. They call qunut nazila for 1 whole month. This one because of this incident, and this is worse than Uhud. Basically, why? Because in Uhud the Muslims were killed during a fight, during a battlefield. This one was ambush and a trick, deception. They said, they want people to teach them Islam, to tell them about Islam, but then they killed, they attacked, and that was the plan from the start. Actually, it's not like this happened. No, it was from the start. They were planning this. No, he set up everything. Yeah. Yes, he set everything up. Yes, he set everything. So this, that's why the Prophet ﷺ was very angry. Yeah, betray. That's betrayal from the start. Yes. And then this one Sahabi, this Amr bin Umayyah, the one who was freed, he was captured but then later freed. He rested under the shade of a tree, and 2 men, sat next to him. 2 men from Banu Kilab. So this, they also fell asleep. Those 2 men, they were disbelievers. So this Sahabi Amr bin Umayyah, he killed both of the 2 to revenge for, take revenge or avenge the death of his companions. See, the 70 companions, his friends. So he killed the 2 to avenge for their death. But he didn't know that these 2 were like under the protection of the Prophet ﷺ. Yeah. They were like, they have a treaty with the Prophet ﷺ. So he didn't know that. So when the Prophet ﷺ knew about this, he said, look, you have to now, you have killed 2 people. Now their blood money shall be a debt, a debt to pay the blood money. I have to give this debt. I have to, discharge the debt. So this Sahabi, he said, I did wrong, yes. So he tried so hard to collect the money as well, put the effort to collecting the blood money from the Muslims, also from the Jews. Yeah, because it was signed, in the treaty that if anything happened, if they were to pay blood money, it will be shared amongst, the Muslim, the non-Muslim, the Bedouins, the Jews. Everything will chip in and contribute something towards the blood money. Even if the Jews did that, for example, it's not just for the Muslims, but also for everyone. So here, so so this was the cause. Also, we will read, inshallah. The next incident is the deal with Banu Nadir. This is one of the Jewish tribes, Banu Nadir. Which other tribes from the Jews? Banu Qurayza, Banu Qaynuqa, Banu Nadir, Banu Qaynuqa, Banu Qurayza. So Qaynuqa, we read last time. What happened to them? Anyone remember? It was about a lady. She was shopping, and then what happened?
He used spear to hold the dress.
Yeah.
And then
He tried to pull a prank, but and then she.
cut his head. Yeah.
No. What happened though? He tried to. Yeah. He tied something to her skirt.
Yeah.
And then she tried to leave, but then she didn't know, and he got stuck, and they, her lower body part was exposed, and they started laughing. So then one Sahabi got angry. He killed the one did it, and they also killed the Sahabi. So then the Prophet said, look, you have to leave. You either have 2 choices: you fight or you leave. They said they chose to leave Medina. So Banu Qaynuqa left. So this one also, this Banu Nadir, but Banu Nadir is a bit more, what happened is more than just Banu Qaynuqa was just they choose to live, but Banu Nadir, they choose to fight. So this is Banu Nadir. So this, the reason why the Prophet ﷺ told them to leave, because, they were inflicting a lot of harm. Even they plot again to kill the Prophet ﷺ and also his companions. Banu Nadir. So this is the incident. So now, after Banu Qaynuqa, they were expelled from Medina. Now this Banu Nadir, the Prophet ﷺ, they also invited the Prophet ﷺ to give da'wah, to have a discussion, but their plan is to assassinate. See, so they in one narration, it was they asked for 30 men to come with the Prophet, and they also come with their rabbis, 30 rabbis. We can have a talk, dialect, and then inshallah, if we like the idea, we will accept Islam, and our people accept Islam. But then they changed their mind. They said 30 is too much, just bring 3. So the Prophet ﷺ came with his companions, Umar, Ali, and Abu Bakr. Yes, and they were planning to execute, to throw a big rock from behind the wall, and it will hit the Prophet and his companions. That's their plan. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the angel Jibreel, told him about that plan, told the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he knew about that plan and many other things. It's not just one thing, but many other things. They causing harm, causing corruption, causing fitna, trying to assassinate the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he appointed a Sahabi, Muhammad bin Maslama radiallahu anhu. He told this Sahabi to communicate his message to Banu Nadir, telling them that they have 2 options: evacuate Medina in 10 days or fight. Only 2 options. So now the hypocrites, the leader of Munafiqun, what's his name? Something Ubay, Ibn Salul. What's his first name? Abdullah ibn Ubay. Yes, this is the leader of hypocrites. Abdullah, the slave of Allah. So he quickly went to the Jews and said, don't pay attention to the warning of the Prophet. Don't pay attention. Just remain in your homes, in your houses, and we will support you. We will support you with 2,000 fire. 2,000 of my followers will support you. Assure you, don't need to worry. And also they said that Banu Qurayza will also form an ally with Banu Ghatafan. So they're forming allies with each other. So don't worry, we are good in numbers. So just remain in your homes. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this in Surah Al-Hashr. This incident, if you read Surah Al-Hashr in Juz 28, Surah Al-Hashr is all about this Banu Nadir. How the Prophet ﷺ, so they said, in ukhrijitum lanakhrujanna ma'akum. So the hypocrites say that if you are expelled, we too indeed will go out with you. They say this, but in their hearts they're afraid. They don't want to leave as well. They're not. So they say this to the hypocrites, but when problem happens, they say no. You are on your own. This is the hypocrites. So in ukhrijitum, if you are expelled, we indeed will be with you. We go with you. وَلَا نُطِيعُ فِيكُمْ أَحَدًا أَبَدًا. And we shall never obey anyone against you. وَإِن قُوتِلْتُمْ. And if you were attacked, we will fight for you. But after that, they didn't do this. And they left the Jews on their own. The hypocrites. So then the Jews, of course, the leader of the Jews, this Banu Nadir, his name was Huyay ibn Akhtab. Huyay bin Akhtab, he said, okay, now we remain in Medina. And he sent a message to the Prophet, you know, we will never leave our houses. Do whatever you like, he told the Prophet. So now the Muslim, you know, they thought, oh, what should we do now? You know, because we just, you know, fought with the Quraysh in Uhud, and we are actually in a weak position as well, still weak, you know, still recovering from that big loss, and also you know, there are still dangers lurking around, you know, Medina, you know. So should we go to, you know, fight? Should we go to war, or should we just, you know, leave them? But then, you know, the decision was that we should go and fight, basically prepare for battle. So the Muslims, they surrounded these Jews, the Banu Nadir. They were in a fortress and surrounded by palm trees, you know, the date trees. That fortress, they had a, you know, advantage, and they you know, they hit the Muslims with arrows, with stones, with many weapons. So the Muslims, what they did was they burned the trees. They cut the trees down. No, not burn. No, so they cut the trees, the palm trees. So to, you know, so they can't take advantage shooting from behind the palm trees. That the Muslims cut it off, and and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also revealed ayah in the same surah, Surah Al-Hashr, in Juz 28. He said that what you Muslims cut down of the palm trees of the enemy, or you left them standing on the stems, it was by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from this we can say that if a tree is being cut or anything like that, if it's for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's permissible. Yes, permissible. This is not about even, you know, taking a life is permissible if it was for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and done in the right way, correct way. Yeah. So inshallah we will end here. So this, what happened, so the Prophet ﷺ told them, you know, you either leave Medina, take whatever you can, and or you have to fight. So they chose to leave Medina. So they filled, you know, their camels, 600 loaded camels, everything. Even they damaged their homes as well. So that the Muslims are, they took the doors, they took, you know, whatever they can take, okay, but not everything. So there are things left behind. So the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba took that, you know, so they took everything and they left. And look, at this time the hypocrites didn't help. They didn't even fight anything. They just watched, and they said, like the shaitan, you know, the shaitan tells the person to disbelieve, you know, ukfur, you know, be a kafir, disbelieve in Allah. But then when that person disbelieves in Allah, he becomes a kafir. The shaitan in the day of judgment will say, inni bari'um mink, you know, I am, you know, free of you. You know, we have no, you know, you can't blame me, I'm free. Yeah, so this same here, the hypocrites, like the shaitan. So here, yeah, so the Prophet ﷺ, you know, seized their weapons, lands, houses, wealth, and even like 50 suits of armor, weapons, this one, 50 helmets, and 340 swords. And, you know, the distribution of these booty is also mentioned in the surah, in this surah. So 1/5 is for Allah and His Rasul. Ma afa Allahu, the fay, they call it malul fay. In fiqh, you study this, the you know, rules regarding the fay. Ghanimah, they say, the beauty of war. Yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ, he distributed to the you know, early immigrants, to the muhajirun and the poor ansar. And also the Prophet ﷺ also took some for his family as well, you know, family expenses. So this invasion, this incident of Banu an-Nadir, this took place in Rabi'ul Awal, the 4th of Hijrah, the 4th year after Hijrah. And also, if we want to know about this incident, is in Surah Al-Hashr, chapter 56. Al-Hashr means the gathering. Al-Hashr, Mahshar, you know, the day of Mahshar, is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathers everyone in Padang. They call Padang Arafah. Not Padang the in not Padang in Indonesia, but but in Mahshar, in Arafah. Yes. Yes. It's a Padang means, you know, a big field, yeah, ground. So inshallah,
Is there any connection between the battle of Uhud and the Mauna?
connection?
Relation, what is it? Story or?
Yes, of course, because after Uhud, you know, the tribes around Medina, they saw an opportunity to do something to harm the Muslims. And they even thought about doing more harm, causing more harm, because they know that the Muslims are weak.
So, Sheikh, what happened with the tribe of Sulaiman, the one that killed all the 70 Sahaba? They didn't get revenge on them? Or was that later?
Oh, the Prophet, if he...
No, you know they have the 70.
Yes. So did the Prophet send army to...
Yeah, didn't anything happen to those people? Sure. That tribe. Was it Sulaiman or the other tribe?
Banu Sulaim, yes. Banu Sulaim.
So they didn't get revenge on them, or
They did. The Prophet made dua, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them. He made dua for 40 days.
So in
was that the Qunut you say?
Qunut nazila. That's why in some mosques, you know, when there is a calamity hitting the Muslims, they do qunut after Fajr.
was that for every prayer or just for Fajr? Do you do the Qunut?
Normally, you can. It's in the hadith. It's just Fajr.
What's Qunut? How long does it go for?
No, you guys, like, it's up to the imam, but not too long, of course.
Or is it just dua?
Dua about, yeah.
Get up from the ruku', you know, like Tarawih, or we do the
Oh, that's
But that's normal. This is qunut nazila, is a special one for this. Not revenge, for in asking Allah to help us, or to this case the Prophet made bad dua.
Companions to be forgiven, or is it, yeah, like you said, bad dua?
Yeah, bad dua. Yeah, to Ya Allah, you know, finish them. You finish them. So Allah subhanahu, that's why the Prophet stopped making dua after he received revelation that, you know, don't worry anymore. We will take care of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. So yeah.
when we are talking about the tribes, for example, Banu Nadir,
Mm.
how many of them actually the number of Banu Nadir? This is the first question. The second one, if we are talking about Banu Nadir, are they all Banu Nadir, or only, or some of them actually Muslim and some of them, or all of them are, let's say, the same thing?
Not Muslim. No, some of these Jewish tribes, they accept Islam. Like from Banu Nadir, there are 2 accepted Islam, but the majority, they didn't. They choose to leave. Yeah.
Next question.
Mm.
Can we distinguish these tribes with a name or with a physical or
Physical appearance.
physical appearance,
Mm.
or how can we distinguish? Oh, this is Banu Nadir. This one is another Banu.
Or for today, or
No, at the time.
At that time,
Yeah.
I think it can be distinguished a little bit. Yes.
I'm
Yes.
guessing they would like live in their area. So
Of course, they live together, but it's still, you can tell this is people. You know, the indigenous people of Medina. This is the Jews, because the Jews are settlers too. They came there. They were not from there. They came there.
Now there is Jama'ah An-Nadir in Indonesia.
Hmm. Oh, that one they just choose that name. Has no connection
There's no connection
with Banu Nadir. No.
we have to do DNA check.
No. It's just some people just take the name An-Nadir.
Check the pockets if they're full.
But they Jews.
They color the hair, you know.
Oh, with
Turban.
this different.
I'm thinking that
They're not Jews. They're not Jews. Mm.
So the number of companions who were killed in the battle of Uhud,
Mm.
there were 70,
Mm.
and in Bi'ir Mauna also
70.
the
Mm.
same.
Mm. But this 70 is scholars, all of them. People of Quran.
Scholars,
Mm. People of Quran. Yeah, yeah. This one, you know, people who, because they, you know, the Prophet chose those who can teach Islam. See, so they memorize Quran. Not all of it, but they memorize Quran. They know Quran. They know the teaching. They learn from the Prophet. So that's why it was a very big, you know, huh? Big loss and big. It's very sad. The Prophet was very angry. It's not easy for the Prophet to, you know, invoke curse and yeah, invoke curse is not easy. The Prophet is a soft-hearted man, you know, not a, you know, this is exceptional, this is different, yeah. And sometimes you do that, but us, we curse immediately. Small thing, we say, oh, may Allah destroy you, astaghfirullah, you know, like this.
I heard somewhere